And powerful man, Jonah Dolan. A man who turned out to be as vindictive and hateful as he was tantalizing and seductive. Almost getting found out was what made Sherise decide to give everything up and refocus her life on what mattered. When her friend Erica's boyfriend Terrell had discovered them and threatened to expose their affair in order to extort Jonah, Sherise was reminded of how much she loved Justin and couldn't live without him. Justin never found out, but he'd known something was wrong. He'd wanted his wife back, and she'd given up everything else to be a better wife to him and a mother to their baby. Looking down at Katie, she mumbled incoherently in a conversation with a tiny plastic pink horse. She smiled from ear to ear. She loved this little girl more than anything, and couldn't imagine depriving her of a life without a father. That was the life that Sherise had, and she didn't want that for her baby. Justin loved Katie, and Katie needed him. Yes, it was true that Katie might not even be his. Jonah wasn't Sherise's first infidelity. She had allowed herself to get too close to Ryan Hodgkins, a successful architect. She had been trying to make her way into the black elite social circles, but had found herself unable to fight her attraction to this married man. They'd spent one night together before Sherise came to her senses and ended it. She found out she was pregnant a month later, but had always been too afraid to find out if Ryan was Katie's father. But things were worse now. After 6 months of trying for a second baby, something she and Justin wanted very much, she wasn't pregnant, and Sherise was beginning to wonder if Justin could even get her pregnant. It broke her heart, but with every month that passed with no pregnancy, Sherise was becoming more convinced that Katie might not be Justin's, and she was afraid of what would come out if Justin started to suspect as well. This was all made worse by the fact that Justin was starting to get so disillusioned with the whole situation that he wasn't initiating sex the way he used to. It was as if he was losing interest in her, and that was a foreign concept to Sherise. She was an exceptionally beautiful woman by anyone's standards. A little taller than the average woman, but not too tall. She was a stunner. She had flawless golden caramel skin, silky dark brown hair that went a couple of inches below her shoulders, high cheekbones, full sultry lips, and piercing green eyes. She was fit and trim, but had killer curves that made her look incredible in the expensive designer clothes she always wore. Everywhere Sherise went, women and men looked, more than once. Most men wanted her, and most women hated her for it. She had always been able to control Justin, and he couldn't resist her. The problem was that after being out of the career game for so long, Sherise was losing interest in most things, except her daughter, so she wasn't sure if she was the reason their sex life was cooling down, or him. "Deuce!" Katie yelled. She squeezed her fingers together and smiled up at her mother with those large eyes that always got her what she wanted. "No, juice," Sherise said. "Too much sugar. Water?" Katie pouted. Seeming to understand that she wasn't getting any juice, she folded her tiny arms across her chest, looking almost edible in her little pink and white polka-dot dress. But Sherise wasn't going to give in. She wanted only the best for her daughter, and that didn't just mean healthy food and drinks. She wanted a life for her daughter that included a happily married mother and father. She had to figure out how to get pregnant. Sherise had spent a lot of time in the last 6 months convincing herself that if she got pregnant, she wouldn't miss the world of power brokers and fast-paced deal-making. She would have a baby to take care of and another to plan for. Eventually, she would go back to work, but in the meantime, 2 babies would keep her more than busy and satisfied. At least that was what she tried to convince herself of. It wasn't really working.